Good evening and welcome everyone to this live stream that we do every Thursday and Sunday of the year at the same time, 10 p.m. Spanish time. Today we are going to see if you get the accounting. Today we are going to see if the numbers come out and to know that they are not going to come out. You won't get the numbers. It won't square no matter how hard you try. No matter how much you try to find the 3 feet to the cat. No matter how hard you try to square the square of the circle. You'll see. I'm going to show you how. No matter how much you want, you won't get the numbers tonight either. If you want to know what I'm talking about, stay, because there are things that we have never told yet that you are going to learn tonight around this perverse psychopathic accounting that we talk about so many nights. Well, let's see what this psychopathic accounting is all about. We'll see. Core nuclear message. Look well, learn well, find out well. The accounts never go well when it comes to trying to win playing, dealing with psychopaths. This perverse accounting is the one handled by many counselors, influencers, YouTubers, coaches, therapists of all types and types who want to present the victims with the world of victimization of psychopaths as a happy world, where it is enough to adopt the correct strategy, follow the opportune advice, follow the path of the elephants that the coach or enlightened man on duty marks out for you to get out successfully, brilliantly, with an optimal result for the income statement. Let's see what that income statement is. Really, what is it? Well, look, the truth is that there are no victories. In the case of toxic relationships in general and more specifically in the case of toxic relationships with psychopaths. Unfortunately not. There are victories. You have to show up to suffer a historic defeat. Even if it can save some furniture, even if it can save something in your life. The truth is that nobody ever talks in terms of victory. He has once faced this representative of the dark side. What do we call an integrated psychopath? Whatever his incarnation, his avatar or his bodily manifestation in this world. And of course, what I say is politically incorrect in a world where everything has a solution. Where? In this Hollywood approach to the happy ending, systematic for everyone, where it is said that if you do things well, if you behave well, if you do the right thing, if you hit the mark, the result will always be optimal and the result will always be a balance in your favor. To say that none of that happens in these relationships is certainly not politically correct. It goes against the naive, well-thinking, sometimes kind or good-natured expectations that victims have to want at all costs to expect something good from something from which nothing good can be expected. How is the relationship with these toxic personalities? The numbers are not going to come out. In the end, you will lose. Some have lost their lives. Yes, it must be said, because this problem can also end up leaving the income statement itself, that is, life itself, leaving your skin by the wayside. Many people are no longer with us to tell about it and unfortunately they have been removed. In the middle, they have not been able to bear the immense loss, the immense accumulation of losses that the passage of the psychopathic hurricane means. They have not been able to resist that dark night of the soul, they have not been able to resist that bad night in that bad inn. And for that reason, perhaps this is the maximum loss without having lost his life. Sometimes because of having gotten out of the way, but sometimes because of the terrible psychosomatic sequelae that the organism itself generates and that are nothing more than the coherent and consistent response to many years of progressive, gradual exposure to something for which the human mind is not prepared, and therefore the body always represents what the mind refuses to accept and recognize. The body ends up first representing signs, symptoms and then more or less serious illnesses that can sometimes also end the very existence of the victim. This does not happen overnight. It is a gradual and progressive wear. It's years of looking the other way. These are years of trivializing and normalizing a type of relational trauma that settles insidiously and for which the victim has no tools. His body, plain and simple, somatizing. The physical resistance is breaking down and, of course, also the psychic. Those years spent in the midst of abuse, lies, betrayal, complex trauma and its usual consequences that generate post-traumatic symptoms, explain the loss of quality of life, the loss of physical health, the loss of joy, the desire to live, the loss of so many things that are not monetizing gables, but that are all of them, always the same song when it comes to making the balance. You don't get the bills either. The accounts do not come out to those who in a holy crusade have insisted on changing their psychopaths, their narcissists, their abusers, practicing the philosophy that everything can be fixed, everyone has a solution. Believing mistakenly and in a tragic way, moreover, in a lie such as the possibility of change in the whole world. Believing in this good mantra typical of our times, that if everyone is given the opportunity and the way is opened, they will be able to choose the truth, the good, goodness, beauty, in short, the light side of the force. In the case of psychopaths, the numbers do not come out here either. The accounts do not come out either. Years and years of holy crusade trying to make your real psycho, real crocodile. Dedicated to nibbling, to prey, to consume the lives of its victims. Try to change your attitude. Change your highly mendacious and predatory behaviors for a proactive, supportive, kind, empathetic, sensitive behavior. In short, human. So many efforts invested, so much energy wasted, and so few or no results at the end. The bills don't work out for you here either. The accounts don't work out for all those who invest and spend time, effort and dedication time and time again, hoping for reciprocity at some point. It could come back or it could be returned to you by these individuals, a reciprocity that unfortunately never comes. They are left with their tongues out. They are hanging by a thread. They are left devastated, consumed, exhausted, and above all desperate for an expectation that never ends, confirming the expectation of change. The expectation promises yes. Integrated psychopaths formulate, but never fulfill expectations that always result in disappointment, frustration, and depression. The numbers do not come out here either. The accounts do not come out. The balance does not balance your investment. Hoping it would come back. Hoping that one day your immense empathy, your capacity for forgiveness, your always and unattainable, inexhaustible capacity to turn the page, to start over, to not keep accounts of evil, is confronted with the wall of cold, calculating, impassive ice of the arrogant, completely empty attitude. The empty of all human feeling or emotion. And the figures do not come out here either. The numbers come out, the balance is balanced. From that attitude of giving and giving and giving until it hurts, which is rewarded with greater coldness, greater detachment, greater rotten fruits. Negatives in the form of treason, mendacity, dissimulation, double life, predation, cruelty, mistreatment, denigration, insult. something which is absolutely incomprehensible, except for those of you who know very well the distance between all your investments in that relationship. Years and years, decades, a lifetime giving the best of you and so little that it returns or reverts or is reciprocated. Given by someone who has no ability to feel, not even in attitude. Either, in the possibility of returning anything, not one iota of what has been given to him for free. They don't add up. The figures, the numbers do not come out and the numbers do not come out. Because the psychopath integrated on the other side, the one you have tried to kill with kisses, hugs, convert based on your unwavering attitude of fidelity, loyalty, honesty, truth, dedication, care and protection, is not capable of even feeling morally challenged. For what a human being, even from an early age, from 5 or 6, 7 years old, quickly understands. And it is that the favors are returned. What someone does for you leaves you morally indebted to that person, even on an intellectual or mental level, even on a verbal level or even just to say thank you, even if that term does not have excessive meaning or meaning. Many times, when someone gives them without further ado, as an act of politics, of social education, but that does not carry a true feeling or emotion of gratitude. The psychopath is incapable, not only of feeling gratitude, but sometimes not even of formulating the slightest words of gratitude to what you have been investing for so long. A whole life sometime, and unfortunately, yes, bad news for you. You have lost forever. All those who want to recover what was invested, who want what you have given to be returned to us in reciprocity, who want even a word, a mere word of recognition or thanks, even if they are not returned. All that investment, all of them beardless, with their tongues hanging out, wanting an impossible result. Trying to somehow make the mirror neurons of psychopaths work, which doesn't happen. Since they do not enter into that reciprocity. That reciprocity doesn't work. This debt of gratitude is never recognized in any emotional balance sheet, something of which integrated psychopaths are completely and totally incapable. The accounts do not come up, and neither do other accounts that you may have done in an opportunistic way, calculating that your convenience could be to keep yourself in a toxic relationship. If in a painful relationship, if in a relationship that destroys you but that allows you to collect a certain quality, or social relevant, in the sense of keeping up appearances, yes, from a relationship, that it doesn't exist, but that externally looks like something from a marriage that socially appears even as perfect, but about which no one knows in depth. The real horrors that make up the true conjugal bond. Keeping up appearances. Maintaining status. Socially maintaining a public appearance. What I call a posturing is something that, in the end, will also lead you to not get the bills. All of you who have bet, unfortunately, by mistake, maintaining appearances, maintaining situations that could even benefit you socially. And it has to be said to the maintenance of economic interests, that they could mean to you a self-justification to continue letting you mistreat and abuse, for what, at least with that relationship he maintained. It is a balance, economic security, a modus vivendi, or sometimes even a modus pulling. Mere survival. All of you who have used this perverse bookkeeping to justify yourself, to stay where you shouldn't have stayed another minute, to give yourself alone and alone with your pillow at night. Reasons to stay there. Neither. In the end, the accounts will come out. The numbers will not come out. Many people try to rationalize or justify the unparalleled destruction that they bring. And what have you meant? The loss of practically everything that makes a person live. With the argument that the economic dependence on his psychopath led him to have to support himself, apply himself, or stick to that relationship. Or overlook, minimizing, trivializing, or trivialize terrible abuses, unacceptable betrayals, double and triple lives, abuses that cannot even be described for the good reason of economic dependence. Those people, sooner or later, they will surrender to the reality that they don't have the numbers either, not even in the most basic aspects of economic survival. The accounts come out when you sell your soul to the devil and allow simply for reasons of economic survival. That other. Violate your dignity, constantly stepping over the truth. Destroy the most sacred of your being, such as self-esteem, the feeling or positive attribution of yourself. In short, rape your soul. Yeah. For money that sometimes means economic survival, but that means the definitive loss of your soul. In recent decades, I have heard many stories from people who wanted to justify themselves due to that economic dependency, without seeking for a single second to get out of that dependency. Seek the means and remedies for that dependency and not accept unconditionally, under any circumstances, even one more iota of mistreatment for that justification that is always economic survival at the hands of being destroyed by the one who has the upper hand, who has goods or resources or ways to make the victim survive. In the end, neither. See how not? The numbers haven't come out either. That attitude of justifying psychopathic abuse in 1,000 ways, the violation of your soul. I no longer mean the physical and emotional abuse, which sometimes your own children have also suffered due to. I'm going to say it and you're not going to like it. To your pleasure. Because of your neglect of yourself. Because of your comfort. Due to your lack of springs to jump as soon as possible before getting completely boiled, like the frog in the experiment, and you couldn't even move. And what did it mean in the end? It is not only the psychological destruction of you and your offspring, but also the ruin, yes, the economic ruin of your own family, of your own nuclear family. The appearance of wound. Sometime. Yes, chronicles that accompany those children born and lived in chaos, in violence, in lies, in seduction for life. Definitely. In the trauma, and that they will be future to future. New scapegoats for other characters who took advantage of that vulnerability created by that situation that was tolerated, accepted as a lesser evil. Like something unreal. impossible to avoid and unavoidable. As something to which there was no choice but to resign, adjust, fit in a terrible way. Yes, but in the end, a way that meant a tacit consent. You won't get the bills either. Eventually, and in the end, when you take stock of everything you've lost, what your loved ones have lost, what they've lost, perhaps your children too. Of the time that you have lost, of the vitality that you have lost, of the vital dynamism that you lost and that no longer accompanies you, and therefore the accounts do not come out. The numbers still do not come out. Neither do the accounts come out, nor do the numbers add up, nor do the balance add up. Those who have thought of the profile strategy, the appeasement strategy, the strategy of not talking back or not confronting the integrated psychopath, could be a good strategy because something could remain. Either some revenue could be obtained from that low-profile strategy. You already know what he likes, what turns him on, what he likes, what motivates. The psychopath is always a victim who does not defend himself, who is paralyzed, who remains defenseless. Sometimes for being guilty, attacked, questioned, criticized, devastated. But nothing likes more or suits an integrated psychopath better than a paralyzed victim who does nothing and who looks the other way in the face of excesses or the worst abuses, waiting for it to subside, naively waiting for better times, hoping that miraculously the Marines in a helicopter to rescue her from her process of victimization. There are no Marines, no helicopters, no outside. In the end, the numbers will not come out either, and you will discover that until you did not take action on the matter, until you became the protagonist of your own exit from that toxic relationship, until you took the bull by the horns in a determined way, applying all the force of your will. You didn't start to get better. You didn't start dating. Of that circle, vicious, terrible victimization. Until that moment you didn't get the accounts either, and perhaps if the way to balance all the balance sheets of what I am talking about tonight, that the accounts come out is what some people do to make them come out. And they do it in a crooked way, distorting reality itself based on a mechanism that has already been commented on this channel, which is a true companion to almost all the live shows and many of the programs that our beloved Israel Lorca magnificently prepares and that you have at your disposal. Available almost every day. I'm talking about cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is the quintessential communion with the treadmill. He distorts reality to such an extent that nothing resembles the reality of what they are. Those people counting, describing, is living on the margin of all truth. And it is living beyond giving the bad news that the harsh reality brings time and again to the victims of these characters. Want to see a white swan in the quagmire crocodile? Who lives with you and with whom you have a toxic relationship of destruction? It is the guaranteed path for an awakening sooner or later. Terrible. That awakening costs enormously. Sometimes it costs lives, whole lives, decades. Lose it all, get to the last, arrive at processes that are sometimes already irreversible. Getting out of cognitive dissonance is embracing the reality principle. And accept the loss on the balance sheet. Yeah. The loss of the best years of your life. if the loss of your children at hands. Yes, of the abduction process. Seduction. Psychopathic parental alienation, of which they have been victims. Except that there are no victories, but different degrees of defeat. It is the beginning of wisdom that leads to trying to minimize that defeat. Keep thinking that without doing anything your life will improve. Your psychopath is going to change his promises. They are going to stop being lies. That it counts, that it tells you and that you tell yourself. Continue naively waiting for salvation without lifting a finger to obtain it. All keep blaming the line. Clearing the ball to the stands as you want to call it. In the bullfighting or soccer similes that you want. It is the worst of strategies, because in the end, when you wake up and take out your spreadsheet, that accounting will not balance. The numbers will still not come out. The numbers will not come out. The positive balance will not come out. In any way. And the cognitive dissonance of which you have been a prisoner, which has kidnapped you, which has led you to deny the basic principle of reality. Yes, reality can be very harsh, very devastating, but it is reality and it is the only thing, we psychologists know, that is healthy and curative. Cognitive dissonance has led you to live a parallel life, a life of denial, a life of coloring everything pink, a life of chantilly and syrup that was nothing more than posturing, appearance, and finally led you to live the same way as what makes the psychopath also integrated into you, his victim in the lie, in the same lie that they live. Go to reality, to the truth, and give yourself the bad news as soon as possible. It is the fundamental principle to go to when dealing with relationships with integrated psychopaths, narcissists, and other weeds. When you want to get ahead from the lie, from the rationalization or trivialization or denial of what is happening, you never get ahead. You only sink further into a quagmire that you yourself are configuring, in a lie that you are telling yourself, in a damage that you are perpetrating on yourself. Without realizing that in the end, sooner or later, later on, that subject that is reality, you will have to face it and you will have to approve it. Sooner or later you will have to face the account of all those numbers that have not come out. Which has been differing. That you have been postponing and that you will finally have to settle. In a manner increasingly painful and in an increasingly terrible way, not only for you, but for many other people who may become the indirect victims, the collateral damage of this inaction, this negligence, or this opportunistic calculation based on maintaining appearances. Advantages or comfort, but that has finally generated and continues to generate victims. The one who sleeps on the floor cannot fall out of bed. And this is the proposal that I make you tonight in this direct. May you have the arrests, the courage, the awareness of finally embracing this reality that the numbers do not work out for you. They will not work out for you. They have not been working out for you in all this time that you have turned your back on that ultimate truth. That you want to deny yourself. And that you want to distort in 1,000 ways. Sleeping on the floor means embracing reality. But finally, for the first time, maybe in a long time, or sometimes, maybe for the first time in your life, give each thing its true name. Name what is really what you are experiencing. And stop Mental masturbation in which you have lived for so long and live from the harsh reality that is going to be very harsh, especially from the moment you begin to accept it. But it is the only thing that can lead or direct you to an efficient and effective way out of that situation or process of victimization. The accounts, dear ones, do not come out. And they can't get out because of the integrated psychopaths, even if it seems like a devastating message to you. They have the ability to rise above, to be victorious, to succeed. Apparently and unfortunately there is no happy ending when it comes to these relationships. Vomiting that happy Hollywood world that they have sold you since you were little, where the good guys in this world end up being given the prize and the bad guys end up being punished because we don't know if such a thing is in the other world. But at least in this one it's not usually be systematic or sometimes even habitual. With this I do not want us to lose hope, quite the opposite. I want to give you the message that living backwards and cheating in accounting, lying to you, cheating on you, rather it has a tremendous result, a result that creates other victims, a result that benefits. Guess who? To the victimizer, a result that is deliberately maintained on purpose because it always benefits the one who has the upper hand as a status quo. The one who is capable of deceiving you once again, telling you what you want to hear, saying the magic words that reopen the key to your trust, your credulity, your naivety in order to abuse it. Benefit to the psychopathic personality, always endowed with new possibilities, with new masks with which to generate himself as that human being that you now want to meet or see. It is changing, it is coming, it is coming. It's dawn. Yeah, behind words that are nothing but empty lies, vain illusions and promises that only compromise the naive who wants to believe in them. That is, you. If you want to get out of that hellish debt, that false accounting, you have to embrace the pain that means accepting that the truth is finally dawning and reality, however harsh it may be, is in sight. And forgive you. Or forgive a psychopath. Forgive you because the most important debt that you have acquired is with yourself for so many lies that you have accepted. For so much credulity in which you have been pleased by so many. So many calculations, sometimes opportunistic, that give you the reasons why that abuse could be bearable, acceptable. You could move on with your life without making determinations that the most fundamental common sense urged you. That forgiveness to yourself is necessary. It is what nests in the depths of the zero love victims of psychopathic relationships. Because it means that deep suspicion that you harbor, and that is correct. It's sensible. It is real and true. That may be for so many. No reactions on time. No determinations taken on decisions not taken at the right time. That advanced damage has harmed you to harm third parties. Perhaps it has also ruined you for good. Yeah. In this sense of true accounting, true ruin, true ruin. And therefore, you have to start treating yourself with immense compassion, with the compassion of perceiving that the human being who has been destroyed in you is an innocent being who deserves your empathy, your sensitivity, your closeness, who deserves to be given the opportunity to thus become the protagonist of your own way out of the problem that is worth dedicating efforts, time, and if you want, all your efforts, all your time, and yes, also all your resources, to heal that deep wound, to get out of that victimization and make a new life, and to become in this way a human being who can also be not only light for himself, but light for many other people who may be going through the same thing that you have gone through and need. They expect that answer from you, because at a certain moment in the future it will be you who sheds that light of hope on them. And with your life and you're getting ahead of the problem, you will be living proof that you can survive, that there is life beyond being a psychopath, that there is recovery even if you have lost a whole life or the best years of your life, or even if they have ruined you too. The core, even if you have lost your children, your family, your friends. Even if you are alone in the world, you will be able to become a light in that desert, in that dark night and decisive light so that many other people can also do what you are finally doing now, which is to get ahead and become the best version of yourself. Saying the one that the psychopath has insisted on extinguishing, turning off, and perhaps he had almost achieved it. Although perhaps with tonight's broadcast, with these words that resonate in your soul, you can begin to glimpse that the defeat is not total and that it is almost total. But in that thread of light, hope and life is the ability to resurface that we have talked about so many nights on this channel. There's your new golden age. This is the person you always wanted to be and that you can still achieve. If you apply yourself with patience, with humility, but also with truth and reality about what your life is and has been and what you need to use and the things you need to remove and eliminate in your life to achieve that best version of yourself. Give it courage. Give it your nose. Give it flats. Because this is above all a question of wanting, of the will to take absolute determination, to place yourself on your side and stop betraying yourself over and over again. Allowing these situations to unacceptable. They are prolonged, extended over time, become normal, habitual and expected. The will, heritage of the prefrontal neocortex, the most evolved area of our brain. It is what you have to mobilize. You don't even need to feel nothing special. You don't even have to be motivated. You don't even have to feel joy, contentment, well-being. It is enough that you apply the strength, the determination, the choice that in the depths of your soul you are waiting to make to mobilize all your personal human resources in favor of that new project, of that new human person who is waiting. Who is that better version of yourself? Remember, the one who sleeps on the floor cannot fall out of bed, and it is time for you to leave the comfort of that bed. But that leads you to live with your back to the truth, to reality, and not to adopt the decisions that could make you evolve towards a different life, towards a life that has that qualification. As real life, and therefore, stop telling you all those Chamulo verses that you have been telling yourself and that have condemned you to waste so much time and that finally the numbers do not come out either. Nothing else. I encourage you to have that faith and that will to get ahead and to become that better version of yourself than everyone else. The whole world also expects you. May God bless you and see you soon.